we are teaching our students how to set goals, how to achieve goals, and how to learn to be physically active while also learning to defend themselves. Welcome back, everyone. It's Sensei Jen here, coming at you with another mat chat where we share tips and tricks to help you make the most of your training. Today we're going to be talking about the proper Isshinryu fist. Now, specific to our style, there's a lot to be said when we are discussing how to make a proper fist. We are an Okinawan traditional style of karate. However, our punch and our fist are quite unique. And so I wanted to spend a little bit of time today with you discussing the proper way to make a fist to help you make the most of your punch training. Now, all fists should be made tightly. This is very important when you're delivering a punch, either to an opponent or even just to a target. You want to make sure that your fist has been squeezed properly tight so that you don't injure yourself. When making the fist, you want to make sure that your fingernails are rolled and hidden within the fist. Sometimes you'll hear people say that this is described as a square fist. Sometimes you'll also hear it called balling up your fist. This is really important because if you have empty space inside your fist, when you deliver the impact of the punch, you may injure your hand or even your wrist. So make sure that you are squeezing your fist properly. Now, something that's unique to our style is where we place our thumb. In Ishin-ryu, you will see the thumb placed in a bent and tucked position at the top of the fist. And this is quite different from even other Okinawan styles of karate. When we place our thumb on the top, there is actually a tendon inside the wrist that is engaged. It's tightened. And this is something that Ishin-ryu practitioners do to help strengthen the wrist during the punch. The nature of our punch is vertical, and so having the tendon in the wrist slightly engaged and tight really does help support the wrist on impact. Now, the Japanese word for fist is ken, K-E-N. And when discussing a proper fist, the word sei is placed in front. And so the word for proper fist is seiken, S-E-I-K-E-N. The proper fist looks like this. The thumb is placed on top with the fingernails rolled tightly inside. The front largest knuckles at the top of the fist are what delivers the impact. So be careful that you're not flattening out the entire surface of the front of your fist when you make contact with your target. By doing so, you're going to make sure that your knuckles are in line with the bones of your arm. The radius and the ulna, when your fist is placed in a vertical position, will line up nicely with the top two knuckles of your fist. Keeping your elbow behind the wrist is very important. You don't want to let your elbow flare out as the punch is being delivered. One of the ways that you can avoid this problem is to be sure that your elbows are pulled tightly back while your hands are at the hip position. Now, when you are preparing your punch, it is really important to remember that it does take time. Anything that is worth doing correctly is worth spending time on. So don't worry if some of your punching skills don't feel quite right at the very beginning. Just keep at it and keep listening to your sensei's advice on how to make the most of your punch. Now, in our style, as in many other traditional Okinawan styles, there should be some hip involvement. This is something that, as we mentioned, will be developed over time. So don't worry if you're not feeling the body mechanics right away. Of course, there's so much to be said about your stance and how to deliver a proper punch, but we'll address the stance in a different video. Today, we just want to focus on how to make a proper fist and how to deliver a proper punch. When you are delivering your punch, you want to make sure that you leave just a bit of bend in your elbow. Thrusting the arm to a 100% extension is very hard on your elbow joint. And so allowing for a little bit of reserve when you're delivering your punch not only delivers a proper punch, but also protects you in the process. Now, Ishin-ryu can be classified as a speed and snap style. What this means is that rarely you will see a punch or even a kick done in a thrusting manner when we are doing our traditional Isshin-ryu techniques. You'll often see a little bit of recoil or retraction when the punch is delivered. This is because our focus is not on delivering impact and pushing our opponent. Rather, we are trying to focus on the penetration into the target. And by doing the retraction, it is almost like the cracking of a whip. The energy is delivered directly to the target. It penetrates and retracts before the overall body receives the energy and begins to move backwards. In doing it this way, you can deliver a punch that has a deeper impact into the body. Now let's talk a little bit more about the fact that our fist is a vertical placement. The reason for this is because Isshinryu is typically used as a close range fighting style. The twisting punch is not an inferior punch in any way. However, the vertical fist is something that is designated for close range combat to allow for the short amount of distance between the punch as it begins to deliver and the impact on the target area. This is why you will rarely see a twisting punch performed in Isshinryu karate. Now, as a beginner, you will learn the kihon, or basic techniques that are involved in teaching you proper body mechanics. As you go through the white and yellow belt levels, you will learn various punch drills that allow you to progress across the floor and perform single techniques in repetition to develop proper body mechanics and allow you to develop comfort with the movements. Along with these movements, we will ask that you try to learn the terminology associated with the punching. Typically, you will hear 3 areas described in Japanese: jodan, which means upper area; chudan, which means middle area; and geidan, which means lower area. We'll discuss a little bit more about this when we talk about our blocking. However, I did want to mention that because as you are learning your punches, these are very commonly heard in class. Well, guys, that's going to do it for today's mat chat. I hope I was able to give you some more tips and tricks to help you make the most of your training. I will see you on the mats. Until then, take care. Bye, guys.